So I'm starting to prepare for the launch of the Panasonic GH4 camera. And to be honest guys, I don't own any Micro Four Thirds stuff. I've been a Canon shooter for a long time, and this is my first move into the Micro Four Thirds market. I don't own any of the lenses, and I haven't really tested many of the lenses, so I thought I would put the question out to you guys as well as a few friends that shoot on GH3s and ask them what I should start out with as a good all-around zoom. Well, the answers came back, and it looks like it was a tie between the Olympus 12 to 40mm f2.8 and the Panasonic 12 to 35mm f2.8. Both of these cover similar focal lengths, and they're both in the same price range of around $800 to $900. They both look pretty sweet on paper, so I thought I would get both of them in my hands for testing and see how they stack up, so I can help you guys and myself decide which lens I'm going to go with. I also managed to wrangle a GH3 body so that I can test both of these out. So let's take a closer look at both of these lenses. Taking a closer look at both of these lenses, they both include sun hoods. The sun hood on the Panasonic is a plastic affair, nothing too amazing, but about what you would expect from, say, a Canon lens if you were getting a sun hood with that. The Olympus has gone a little bit further. They've added a locking mechanism with a metal ring around it for the sun hood itself, and when you want to release it, you have to press those down and then pop it off, making it a little bit more durable than what you get with the Panasonic. The Olympus 12 to 40mm f2.8 lens has a slight advantage in zoom range. At 40mm versus 35mm for the Panasonic, you can reach a little bit further with this than you can with the Panasonic 12 to 35, making it a slightly better option if you're doing portraits or something like that. Keep that in mind if that extra bit of reach really makes a difference for you when you're trying to choose a zoom lens. Taking a closer look at these lenses side by side, you can see that the Olympus is slightly bigger and bulkier than the Panasonic. The Panasonic also feels noticeably lighter in my hand than the Olympus lens. Still, the Olympus has a little bit higher build quality. There's a metal zoom ring on the Olympus, where the Panasonic comes with kind of this rubbery plastic material for focusing. It's not horrible, but the Olympus does feel a little bit more refined in design. Also, the Panasonic has an endless focus ring, so there's no end stops on this at all, which means that if you were trying to use a follow focus, you might have a hard time repeatedly focusing to the same position. The Olympus, on the other hand, has the ability to click down and give you hard stops on your focus ring. So if you are using a follow focus with this, that might be a better option for you if you are looking to attach a follow focus to your lens itself. The build quality between these two is very similar, but I would put the Olympus ahead by a reasonable margin simply because of the refinement of the design. Extending these two out, you can see that the Olympus extends further than the Panasonic. This also makes sense because this is a 12 to 40 versus a 12 to 35. The Olympus also has a slightly closer focusing distance of 0.2 meters, whereas the Panasonic has 0.25. So you can get slightly closer to your subject with the Olympus versus the Panasonic. Overall, these are more similar than different, but the build quality of the Olympus does put it a little bit ahead in terms of feel and design. However, if you're looking for something lighter and thinner, the Panasonic is probably the better choice. So for this test, I'm using the audio from the GH3. I've got it zoomed all the way into 35, and I'm handheld shooting with the IS turned off. This is probably where you would really want IS, and I'm holding this as stable as I can. And you can see that it's a bit shaky, not too horrible overall, but not super amazing. I wouldn't want to hand this type of footage over to a client and expect them to be happy with this sort of handheld shooting. Now let's go ahead and turn the IS on. Okay, now I've got the IS on here. And wow, that makes a major difference at 35 millimeters. Still a little bit shaky, but it's pretty surprising how substantial that is in handheld shooting with the Panasonic GH3. If you're careful with that IS, you can basically get some usable pans and motion without as much jitter. I'm actually pretty impressed with the IS on here. That is doing a pretty darn good job overall. Alright, testing the flicker out a little bit more. I'm using the audio again from the GH3 because it's convenient and it's right here. I've got the Panasonic 12 to 35 millimeter attached, and let's go ahead and zoom in. As you zoom in at f2.8, you can definitely see a bit of flicker happening. Let's zoom back out again. And there was our flicker at f2.8. Now let's go ahead and take this up to f3.2. Again on the Panasonic lens, this time at f3.2. Let's go ahead and zoom in. You can definitely see the flicker there. And this is at f3.2. Zooming back out again. All right, again, this is the Panasonic 12-35, and we are at f4. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And you can definitely see the flickering happening. Let's go ahead and zoom back out again as soon as we get all the way in. Okay, zooming back out. The flicker is definitely noticeable at f4. Last one, I'll test f5.6. All right, so this is the 12-35 at f5.6. Let's go ahead and zoom in and see how the flicker looks. Looks like it's still very noticeable at f5.6. And that's all the way zoomed in. Let's go ahead and zoom back out again. And there you can see that it is flickering a bit as we zoom back out. All right, so this is the Olympus 12-40mm at f2.8. Let's go ahead and zoom all the way in. And let's go ahead and zoom all the way back out again. If you look really close, about right there, you can see a slight amount of flicker, but it's very hard to detect. In fact, I would say that contrary to my first look at this, I don't think that there's much flicker at all on the Olympus, even at f2.8. Let's go ahead and just zoom back in real quick again, just to take a look. That's all the way in, and there's just a little bit of flicker right there. And coming back out again, just a minute amount of flicker at f2.8. All right, this is the Olympus again, and this time we're at f3.2. I am using the microphones built into the GH3, so I apologize for the audio. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And that is all the way. Let's go ahead and zoom back out again. And I don't see any flicker at all at f3.2. All right, this is at f5.6 on the Olympus 12-40mm. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And I don't see much flicker. If you look really close, about right there, there's a tiny amount. But I don't think it's too bad. If I didn't know to look for it, the Olympus, I wouldn't probably even notice the flicker. After playing around with both of these lenses, it's pretty easy to see why there's such a heated debate between the Olympus and the Panasonic. Both of these are pretty darn good lenses for the price. The Olympus wins in the categories of build quality and the end stops on the focus, while the Panasonic is much lighter and has really good IS for a lens this size. This really made a difference and impressed me with the Panasonic's IS capability. On the other hand, the flickering did not impress me at all, and the fact that it has an endless focus ring I find kind of obnoxious. I'm gonna go with the Olympus simply because of the end stops and the build quality, but I could see why you would want the Panasonic right out of the chute. The IS is pretty darn impressive. Anyway, I hope this helps a few of you guys who are in the same boat as me trying to move from a full frame body to a Micro Four Thirds body. I didn't address any of the photography issues between these two lenses because I'm not going to use my Micro Four Thirds camera for photography. I have a full frame DSLR and that will still be my main photography tool. Still for video, I think these are both excellent choices. I'll have a full write-up over at DSLRFilmNoob.com, and if you have any comments or think I missed something, make sure you leave it in the comment section below. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and if you like this content, you should do one of these right here. Don't forget to check out my second channel, you can find that above, and swing over to DSLRFilmNoob.com to sign up for the mailing list. If you only want to hear from me once a month, the mailing list is the way to go. Also, a few of you have been chiming in on Twitter to let me know that you're going to be at NAB. Let's schedule a meetup. We can have some beers at the Circus because I'm slumming it there. Also, take a look at this fuzzy owl, just because.